to put my suit on this one. I got to put that suit on. I got to put that suit on. Somehow say, defund the police. Oh, come on. Oh, can we bring common sense back unto this great country, this great nation? Can we please bring common sense back? Boy, you just can't make this stuff up that's happening, man. You just can't make it up. But I hope everybody is blessed, well, healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life. You know, Joe out there, he done lost it. They done sent him back on another vacation. Who's running the country? Nobody knows. You know, you just can't make this stuff up, man. They think the American people are stupid. You know, empty seats, empty suits, you know. People are clapping this on, you know. I can't wait to get $25,000 for a new home. Yeah, communist comrade Kamala. Oh boy. But hey, it's getting real, y'all. I put my suit on. Y'all know it's getting real. We calling it for what it is, man. You see what's going on. It's all out there. Protesters are everywhere. You know. People are screaming and hollering, knocking down gates, sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know. People are dying. People are struggling. You know, these last 3.5, 4 years, man, people are just sick and tired. Simple as that. Can we make common sense great again? Can we bring common sense back? So let's go and get into it, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I love y'all, man. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Tens of thousands, and we've had at least one estimate from a leader, an organizer, saying that as many as 100,000 anti-Israel protesters are expected to descend on the Democratic National Convention. Of course, we won't know those numbers until it actually begins, but they did have a news conference a short time ago, so we're getting an idea of why the city of Chicago is now bracing for all that anti-Semitism, Jewish hate, to turn violent. Businesses are already boarding up their windows and doors. Democrats reportedly checking into hotels under fake names in fear of their safety. So you've got Democratic voters now hiding. 250 Illinois National Guard men and women are currently on standby in Chicago. Protesters are chanting Genocide Joe, you know, at Joe Biden, and branding Vice President Kamala Harris a, quote, killer. And they're threatening to, quote, bring the war home. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts Emily Campagno and Kayleigh McEnany. Also joining us this hour, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and Fox News contributor and host of The Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio, Guy Benson. Well, Kayleigh, you and I are here in Chicago, along with, I think you are too, Guy Benson. I haven't seen you in person here yet. But a lot going on outside the walls of where we are in this convention hall. Let's get an idea.
Oh, Chicago. Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Nothing new, Chicago. Nothing new. We knew this was coming. We all knew it was coming. Don't act surprised. Failed leadership. Empty suits. Clap it up for the failures, y'all. Clap it up for the failures. We can go down the list from the mayor, from everywhere. Yeah, clap it up for the failures.
Steve Harrigan is live with the latest details of the DNC convention protesting. Steve.
Harris, they're getting ready to march here, and you can tell just by looking around Union Park that it's made up of at least 200 different groups of protesters who are going to march. You have the small pockets. You have the Irish for Palestine over here. You have people here in pink shirts who are against capitalism, despite the fact that they have a lot of new megaphones and new signs and some new tables, and all have matching new shirts as well. You have the pro-Palestinian group, the Intifada, back there as well. So you have pockets of groups, 10, 20, 50, a few hundred. And the concern is that some of these groups are much more radical than others. But right now, it has been orderly so far this morning as the crowds continue to gather. That was not always the case on Sunday, when one protester jumped up on stage and grabbed a mic as the delegates were arriving. Here's that scene.
150,000 people are dead. You are funding a genocide. The Harris-Biden administration keeps funding money to Israel.
Law enforcement has said that any violence, any destruction of property, any throwing of items will lead to immediate arrests, and they're keeping courtrooms open until midnight to deal with some projected numbers of arrests. Harris, back to you.
Steve Harrigan, thank you very much. Let's come out to Outnumbered Now and our guest, Leslie Marshall. I don't know how, as a Democrat, lawmakers can really defend this. The mayor of Chicago really fomenting the potential danger of all of this with his words. Mayor Johnson, your thoughts?
Well, when you say how can they, first of all, everyone in this country thankfully has the freedom to march peacefully via our First Amendment. But what I've said before, I don't care what your issue is, climate change, pro-Palestine, if you're left or you're right, this is not going to achieve your goal. To get a headline doesn't achieve your goal. To have any chaos, to jump up on stage, as we saw yesterday, that does not get the goal. This is not it's really ignorant and naive to think if you are at a Democratic or Republican convention and you upset that convention, that's going to change the electoral process, that's going to change weaponry or funds going to Israel. What does change is if you have sit-down meetings. What does change is if you have votes and you have certain legislators that you vote for or you vote against. And that's my problem. When you have protests, it doesn't necessarily help you reach your goal, especially when it becomes chaotic and you look so radical and fringe. It doesn't add people to your movement. It actually has people shy away from it.
Well, you know what else would maybe change it, Kayleigh? Maybe the vice president who now wants to be president of the United States could sit down for an interview or hold an open news conference and not know who's there and what the questions are in a formal situation and talk about some of these issues.
Harris, without a doubt. I mean, bingo, that hits the nail on the head. She's the only one that can thread this needle. And indeed,
instead of ducking, dodging, and hiding and sitting in corners. This world needs, this country, this nation, we need common sense back. We need true leadership back. We need true leadership back, y'all. Some of y'all are laughing, but it's true. It's true.
it's a needle to thread. Look, I mean, it's joyful here, right? We're bringing war to you is one of the chants. From the river to the sea was chanted last night. So much for Kamala's joy. These are not joyful messages. But Kamala's trying to thread the needle. Buried in an Associated Press story was the fact that Kamala just met with the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan. His name is Abdullah Hammoud. He has statements in the past which I view as radical. On October 7th, that horrific day where those hostages were taken, he condemned all violence, but nevertheless said Israel's military occupation makes violence inevitable. I'm not surprised this meeting wasn't on her public schedule, but it was a behind-the-scenes effort to stop what you're watching on your screen. But will these protesters fall in line? More than 100,000 uncommitted voters in Michigan for this very reason. She needs the uncommitted voters to become Kamala voters. How does she do it? It's an impossible task.
Wow. So, Kayleigh, I mean, when I hear the words inevitable violence, I mean, that sounds very threatening. And that certainly isn't the peaceful protesting that Leslie Marshall was so right about. Like, we all have the right to do that. She's right. But killer Kamala? I mean, it just, no matter what your politics are, Guy Benson, this is dirty. It's nasty, potentially dangerous. But we hear crickets from this presidential candidate. We hear crickets from her surrogates on this issue. Nobody wants to shut these people and their Jewish hate down.
Because they want their votes. I mean, that's just the dire reality of it. They're going to call her killer Kamala and chant in the streets and slander her and Joe Biden in all sorts of different ways. But as Kayleigh just pointed out, they're sending emissaries to some of the leaders of this movement. We know that Tim Walz, the running mate for Kamala Harris, has some really radical associations on this front as well in the state of Minnesota. They want those votes. So the condemnations will be muted, I think, at best. And one thing that also is interesting to me, Harris, I've seen in the last day or two on social media a number of people on the left getting more vocal, more frustrated with the prospect of these large protests. And I'm like, well, where were you for months when there were Jewish students on campuses being terrorized and tormented and targeted? They were almost non-existent, nowhere to be seen on that criticism. But now when this same movement threatens to disrupt a 4-day infomercial for their political party, now they have a problem with it, which I think goes again to the politics of this rather than the substance, which is anti-Jewish, pro-Hamas people are speaking on behalf of evil, and that needs to be called out across the political spectrum.
Well, look, Emily, I mean, when you talk about those on the left being silent who are in high-profile, powerful positions politically, one person's silence is another person's complicit.
Right. And I think, what we are seeing here, to be clear, is frankly, it's an untenable protest. I mean, we just watched on our screen as one of those pro-Hamas protesters was flipping off every single police officer that walked by. And yet, remember, Kamala Harris responded to those anti-Israel chants during her Detroit rally with "Every voice matters." And I guess I'm in the minority. I don't think these voices matter in this way because they are calling for the utter destruction of human beings. The reason that they are there is because they can be. Because to Guy's point, there has been no condemnation clear from the vice president. They have absolutely been trying to curry favor and curry votes and thread that line that really actually isn't fragile. It really actually isn't anything less than a very clear line. And keep in mind, for example, the Uncommitted National Movement, which has just issued new demands to Kamala Harris this week. Now they say, well, we want a pediatrician that just returned from Gaza. We want a primetime speaking slot. We also want an arms embargo against Israel. The point I'm making is that they keep shifting the goalposts because, of course, as children do, they will keep asking for more when you hand to them what they've been seeking in petulance. So all of this, to me, is not only predictable, but it's unpalatable to the American people. And I hope, as this chasm is occurring on the streets of that manufactured convention, amidst the crime of Chicago, which we'll talk about later, I hope that someone has the fortitude to say this is unacceptable.
Amen. Well, we know it won't be Mayor Brandon Johnson.
That's right.
Because, again, if you watch the local news in the evenings here, you hear the things that he's saying about, the dissent and how he's embracing it, basically. Certainly not fighting it, certainly not condemning it, certainly not telling people to clean up their language. They're free to protest. Just don't threaten anybody's life.
Hey, everyone.
Like they say, empty suit. Empty suit, y'all. Complete mess. You see, the RNC didn't have a mess. The difference is clear, man. The difference is clear. The difference is clear, man. Can't make this crap up. You can't make this crap up, man. Democrats against Democrats. Woo! But hey, what did she say? Defund the police. Defund those sweet law enforcement. Kamala. Defund sweet law enforcement. Shout out to our law enforcement. We have a lot of amazing law enforcement on the channel. A lot of amazing people that made the ultimate sacrifice. A lot of amazing people that protect and serve our communities. Amen. But let me know what y'all think of all this, man. I love y'all. It done got serious. I had to throw the suit on. I'm telling you, it done got serious now. But hey, God bless you all and your families. We need common sense back, man. We need peace back. We need peace back, man. One love to we the people, man. One love to the human race. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.